Every empire thinks it has discovered a new kind of money. But in the end, every empire learns the same lesson. It hasn't. Because money follows rules. Deep, stubborn, ancient rules. Rules that do not care about politics, promises, or optimism. These rules are not written in constitutions. They are not taught in schools. They are rediscovered again and again every time a civilization begins to fall apart. If you don't know these laws, you always feel like the system is working against you. And maybe it truly is. Tonight we uncover the forgotten laws of money. From the silver coins of ancient Rome to the digital tricks of modern central banks. And by the end you will understand this game was never designed to be fair. Let's begin with the first and most brutal law. In the 1500s, Sir Thomas Gresham told Queen Elizabeth I, "Bad money drives out good." What does that mean? If two kinds of money circulate at the same time, one trusted, one worthless, people spend the bad and hoard the good. It is part of human nature. In ancient Rome, when the silver denarius was mixed with cheaper metals, citizens were not fools. They paid taxes and debts with the fake coins and saved the pure silver. The same story played out again and again. Medieval kings shaved the edges of coins, mixed gold with copper. Every time rulers corrupted money, people adapted. They spent the fake. They kept the real. And from that moment trust began to die. But there is another law. The evil twin of Gresham's. Thiers Law. Named after Adolphe Thiers in 19th century France. When everything collapses, the logic reverses. Good money drives out bad. Picture Germany in the 1920s. Prices doubling every few days. People carrying wheelbarrows full of banknotes for a loaf of bread. In times like that, no one holds the local currency. They run to dollars, gold, cigarettes, anything real. We saw the same in Zimbabwe, in Venezuela, in every age of hyperinflation. Gresham's law explains the slow decay of money. Thiers' law explains its sudden death. But what about the middle ground? When money hasn't yet collapsed, but something still feels wrong. That's where the Cantillon Effect begins. In the 1700s, economist Richard Cantillon saw a truth. New money never spreads equally. Those closest to the source get it first. Governments, banks, big corporations. They spend before prices rise. By the time it reaches workers and savers, everything already costs more. That's why the rich grow richer during inflation. Because they touch the money first. Remember the 2008 crisis. Money printing lifted the stock market. But wages stayed the same. The pandemic stimulus checks. They exploded food and housing prices. Inflation isn't just a number. It's a wealth transfer. From the last receivers to the first. And the painful part, it was designed that way. If the Cantillon Effect explains the rise of the rich, then financial repression explains how everyone else gets squeezed. After World War II, governments were buried in debt. They couldn't raise taxes. They couldn't default. So they found another way. They quietly squeezed their citizens, keeping interest rates below inflation. People's savings lost value every year. And they made it harder to move money abroad. You were trapped in the system, watching your wealth slowly melt away. And you know what? It's happening again. Right now. After the 2008 crash, interest rates stayed near zero for more than a decade. Savers lost trillions in real terms. Asset owners got rich. After 2020, the same pattern returned. Low rates, rising costs, melting savings. This isn't random. This is financial repression 2.0. And most people don't even see it. They just feel poorer. But these laws don't just affect individuals. Some of them shape entire empires. In the 1960s, economist Robert Triffin warned the U.S. Congress about a hidden danger. If the dollar became the world's reserve currency, America would have to export dollars endlessly. At first it looked like a blessing. But it created permanent trade deficits, spending more than it earned. For a while it worked. The world trusted the dollar and grew around it. But over time the cracks appeared. By 1971, Nixon ended the gold standard. The dollar became faith-based. Fiat money. Since then American industry declined. Debt exploded. And the dollar's power became both its strength and its curse. Today China, Russia and the BRICS nations are searching for alternatives. Central banks are hoarding gold again. Triffin's paradox lives on. And now another law is rising. Goodhart's law. Simple but destructive. When a measure becomes a target, it stops being a good measure. Governments love numbers. 2% inflation. 3% growth, 5% unemployment. But once they chase those numbers, the numbers lose meaning. They print money to hit inflation targets. They borrow to boost growth. They tell you the economy is healthy. But housing, food, education keep climbing. On paper everything looks perfect. In reality it's chaos. And then there's the law of diminishing returns on debt. At first debt fuels growth. You borrow $1. You gain more than $1 of progress. But over time the returns shrink. You borrow more. You gain less. Until all you're doing is creating an illusion. U.S. debt passed $30 trillion. Each new wave of borrowing brings less real growth. But keeps the system alive a little longer. The same pattern broke Rome. Pre-revolutionary France. And post-war Britain. Debt buys time. But never salvation. Step back and you'll see the pattern. Money is not magic. It follows its own physics. Bad money drives out good. Crises push people toward the real. New money flows upward. Governments crush savers to erase debt. Reserve currencies rot from within. Targets distort truth. And debt eventually devours itself. These are not random events. They are the cycle of financial history. And the hardest truth is this. The game was never meant for you to win. You live in transparency. They live in secrecy. You pay taxes. They hide wealth. You earn a salary. They get the money first. You hold melting cash. They hold rising assets. The system is not broken. It works exactly as designed. And until you learn these laws, you will always be a player with your eyes closed. Because history doesn't repeat. But money always obeys its laws. If this gave you a new perspective, subscribe. The answers are buried in history. Let's uncover them together.